You're still with us on Startup Street. Cloud and AI optimizer Crayon has inked a partnership with Amazon Web Services to launch an incubator for startups in India. The incubator will focus on helping startups and independent software vendors or ISVs develop cloud-based digital solutions for public sector applications. CNBC-TV18's Jude Sanat caught up with Crayon's Abhay Joshi along the sidelines of AWS's reInvent Summit in Las Vegas to find out more about the proposal and how many startups it will impact. Take a look.
What exactly is the problem that you are solving? You are, of course, getting startups to be incubated. Who are these startups and why would you pick them essentially? And will the sphere of influence of the incubator be restricted to the public sector alone?
All right, so let's first understand who the startups are. Tech startups are the companies who have identified a real life problem and they're solving it with the application. Okay. They are at different stages of their life cycle. When we look at the startups, early age startups who are at the bootstrap level, they require different kind of a support. Things like higher customer base so that they can increase their valuation. Little more matured startup require more technical support so that they can optimize their application, optimize the consumption, and they can ensure that the spend is less so that the profitability can increase. The problem that we are solving for the startups is to ensure that we give them absolute ready framework where we can have the approach and a tailored solution for their requirement at different stages of the life cycle.
All right, okay. So Abhay, I'm given to understand that there are timelines involved as far as incubation is concerned. So what kind of timelines are we talking about from the time a startup is absorbed to when the solutions are launched?
Typically, any startup, when they come to incubator, it takes about 90 to 120 days for them to initially start with identification, understanding the strength of the company, understanding the weakness of the company, the kind of application and the problem that they're solving, migrating them to cloud, and eventually providing them the GTM, the support for them to reach the customer base. So it is anything between 90 to 120 days before they actually go on market and they start publishing their softwares.
All right. Now, given the focus on sectors like agriculture and other sectors as far as healthcare are concerned, is it to suggest that a lot of the incubation will happen for companies in these sectors alone, or are you okay with moving beyond?
AWS's program for public sector are spot on. It really helps invest into those right sectors, whether it is agri-tech or it is ed-tech or it is meditech. We need to look at how Indian government is supporting startups today. Make in India is not only about manufacturing, it is also about the problems that we are solving with softwares. It is the startups who are solving the problems for Indian solutions. When we look at the focus that we will have, it is not only a vertical focus, it is also a horizontal focus. What kind of startups we are looking at is mainly about what kind of problems are we able to solve and what kind of a GTM we can provide to them. While we will be in the realm of public sector, we are open for working with all the startups who are in different verticals as well.
All right. So let's talk numbers then. How many startups have you reached out to and what is the target that you are looking at in terms of numbers of startups that you incubate either on a quarter-to-quarter or a year-on-year basis? What kind of metrics are you looking at?
India is booming with technology today. We are growing very fast. There's huge number of startups that we have in India, especially tech startups. Because of the growth that we see and the startups that are solving these problems, the numbers are increasing very fast. We are conservative to start with, but we are going with 10 startups where we will support for the first phase, which is first 90 to 120 days. By end of the first year, we were looking at anything between 50 to 70 startups that we can support for the first year. And then we'll increase the numbers as we see the success in the first year.
So I'm given to understand by March, then you might already have 10 to 15 startups incubated. Is that correct?
Yes. We have already done the first soft launch, and we are working with the 10 startups that will graduate by March. And then we will look at the numbers, we'll reevaluate the numbers, and we'll increase or decrease based on how the outcomes are.
Beyond infrastructure networking opportunities, what are the benefits will startups derive if they actually become part of the incubator? I believe there's a speed dating kind of approach that you're also looking at when it comes to working with these companies and ensuring that they find customers. Could you elaborate a little bit more about what that's all about?
Sure. So when you look at Crayon, Crayon is expert in optimization, Crayon is expert in managed services. We are featured in Gartner's Magic Quadrant as leaders in last 3 years consecutively. We are experts in optimizing the cloud, optimizing when it comes to migration on cloud. When the startups look at Crayon, we are ensuring that we provide them two main supports. First is journey towards cloud has to be smooth. We have to ensure that the optimization, the footprint on the cloud remains as minimal as possible. And secondly, GTM. GTM is one of the main concerns of why startups do not grow over a period of time. A unicorn and a startup, the only difference is how we narrate them, how we narrate their story to the world. Because every ISV, every startup has a story. Every ISV has an entrepreneur who has saw a dream and a solution that he can take to the world. So what we are doing is we are doing a GTM, which is a right fitment of the customer to these startups. So we bring them to the startups and we ensure that they can work together to find a solution for themselves.
What's in it for AWS and Crayon? How does this make business sense for you?
Startups is one of the fastest growing segments. It is not only fastest growing in terms of how much they spend, how much is their valuation. The byproduct of working with startups is the consumption that we get. Crayon is in the business of consumption and Crayon is in the business of managed services. We ensure that we work with partners, we work with ISVs and startups to provide the support to them so that we can get the services which is required. We can provide the services via partners as well, and we can ensure that we fit the right programs which are provided by AWS to these startups.